But you asked me what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's seeing what becomes possible when you see our young people, and we talked about talking to some of these powerful people, and we had a young man last year, and he in the first meeting we had, so we went down to DC. There was a handful of our teens that went with Jenna and Shirley, our two of our staff, and I met him down there the day we were going to the Hill because I've been there a couple times and I could kind of introduce them. And in the first meeting, this one we always kind of knew who was going to say what to a certain extent. Like they chose what to say, but who was going to speak when. And he kind of missed his cue, and he's like, so as we're walking to the next meeting, I was kind of like, oh, how did that go for you? He goes, well, every time I wanted to speak, there'd be a little pause, and then by the time I would think I had permission to speak, it was too late. Somebody else had jumped in. So we kind of talked about it and worked through it, and then in the next one, he actually spoke up, and then he actually spoke up a second time when it wasn't on the script, but he had something to say. And then the third meeting, he led the meeting off, and this meeting's a much bigger meeting with like a handful of other clubs that were doing the same thing. And he led off the meeting, and then four times he chimed back in, like he gave a half second for everybody else, and oh, they're not doing it. I got something to say, And one of the things he said in that meeting was, I never thought I'd be in this room where somebody in a senator's office in Washington, D.C. would be listening to me. And it's things like that. And that's, obviously a bigger thing at D.C., but it's the same kind of stuff happens here every day of helping teens understand and young people understand that how powerful they are and what control they do have over their own lives. And to me, it's about making sure that every kid has the same access to resources. They have to do the work. They have to, you know, be uncomfortable, right? To learn new things, right? The only way any of us learn new things is you have to be willing to fail. There is not a person in any Hall of Fame who did not fail a gazillion times in order
Absolutely,
to
yes,
get there,
yes.
right? And and then they have to have the awkward conversation when it's not necessarily an awkward conversation, but they're afraid it's going to be an awkward conversation, right?
We play it up in our minds of how serious and how bad we're going to
Absolutely.
mess it up. Yeah.